Welcome to the Ketupat tutorial. The leaves are attached by a stem on this end where it's brown. So this was taken off yesterday and then wiped through. We wiped them. You have to wipe it because you're going to use it for food, right? So the stem is all along this end of this very long leaf, and then it splits open. One side's a bit like spotty, freckled, and the other side is, which makes no difference to what we're about to do. I just thought I'd show you. So you do the square end. Some people will do it like this. It depends in their left hand if they like it like this, but I habitually do it like that. And you wind it once, twice, and have the pointy end up. So one end down, one end up, right? You do the opposite on this side. So this side's up, and you wind once, twice, and pointy end is pointing down, square end is pointing up. So one loop goes over, under the next, and over the third. See? Over, under, over. I'm talking about this horizontal one. Over, under, over. So next loop goes now under, over, and under. Soft? Okay, now next one. Last one, loop it, and you go over, under, and over. Khalas, that's it. So we've got the woven base. So the one that I just showed, the one I showed you earlier was this style, which is in Malay called the Bawang, Ketupat Bawang. Bawang means onion because it's kind of bulbous, kind of like a Punjabi samosa. Now we're going to do a Singaporean samosa, which is a flat kind. These are called Ketupat Satay. It's the compressed rice that you would eat with satay in Singapore, the Malay style one. There's satay all over the region, but the Malay one in Singapore, you'd eat it with ketupat, compressed rice. So you'd get this all year round. But the leaves are not really available to the general consumer until around this time of year, Ramadan, towards the end, where people will serve this as a celebratory food, along with a bunch of other things like rendang. But you don't eat, this is the confounding thing, you don't eat ketupat rice with lodeh. You eat lontong with lodeh, which is compressed rice compressed in banana leaves. This is rice compressed in coconut leaves. Very specific, and I struggled with that as a child. I didn't quite understand what was going on. Like, they all seem the same to me, but they're different. So this is the bawang one. I'm going to do now the satay one with this one, which is easier than the bawang one. Bawang one has 4 additional steps from the base. All starts with the base. But the satay one only has 2 further steps after the base shape. So I'm just going to make this square end a little bit longer so it's easier to manipulate, because the satay one, all it needs is for the square end to double back on itself. So this is the horizontal one. It's coming around the back, and I'm going to go around the front back that way. So since it's gone over this guy, it's going to go under this guy, which then makes sense because this is the over horizontal, this is the under horizontal leaf. Soft, so whoops, it's coming out. And so that's gone under. This one goes over, and this one goes under. So I'm a little short here, so I'm just gonna lengthen it from the tail end. Ugh. Push, 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 push. Whoops, it's coming out. And push, push. Put it. And there it is. So now we do the same with this other square end, which I've not done. So I'm going to take it off my finger. So it's coming around this way. It goes under this guy, around, over this one, under, over. And it's cinchy. So now you've got the basic. So if you pull, it's going to look like it makes no sense. Do not worry. You just have to now tighten it. So how we do that is by adjusting. So we pull horizontal, whoops, don't let them out. Pull, so that pulls tight. Where does this go? This one goes here. So pull. Don't worry, they're still there. Just keep pulling. This one's the vertical one. Where's the vertical one? This guy. So let's pull that guy. This one gets pulled, and then you follow up on the bottom, and then this one gets pulled. Fish it down around the back, and it's gonna come out here on the other side. So pull that, pull this guy up, whoops, and then pull this guy. So this is a little bit, I can't pull this one. There. So this is really ultra loose, so I'm gonna adjust that. Pull. It's a little fragile along the thin end, so have to be a little careful. So just keep adjusting until you're happy with the shape, and then I'm going to pull that way. Keep adjusting. It feels a bit like soft leather, so it's not very slippery. If you were to do this with satin ribbon for decorations, if you want to put ketupat up, typically sometimes they're often used as decorations as well, you know, for kids or whatever. You can use ribbon to make them. And so that's what we would do when I was a kid. We were living in India. Like, where would we get young coconut leaves? Because you can't use old coconut leaves, it'll rip. It's not soft enough. These are a bit more tender. Oh, this one's gonna rip. So we would use ribbon. You know, this shiny plastic ribbon, which is horrible because it's slippery. And this is a bit more texture. Okay, so there's your Ketupat Satay. I could do a little bit more adjustment, but just to show you. Good morning, everybody. Whoop, why is this like this? Oh, I know why. Yeah, sillies. All right, good morning, everyone. I realized that I did not do the complete final steps of the bawang, just in case you decide you want to make the Ketupat Bawang. From the base shape, which is this, just double check that everything is alternating. You know, this horizontal guy is going over this vertical. Love you too. Over, under, over. This one's going under the vertical, over. So with the bawang one, so you notice with the Ketupat Satay, it was really simple. This one just goes back on itself and it ends up on this side, and these guys stay here. So this time we're going to move them a little bit further. What's going to happen is this is not going to go back on itself. It's going to go forward, and it'll continue to this corner. But I suggest getting these guys out the way first. You have to move them up one side, round a corner, a second side, and to end up at the opposite corner from which they started. So this is going to continue to this one, and this is going to continue to this side. This one's going over, you can see, so just put it under the next one. Under, over, under this, over the next, and under the last. And it has magically appeared at that corner. Drop that in. Same with this. This one's gone under this, right? So it's going to go over this strip, over, under, and then over the next loop, under the next loop, and over the last. And again, it has magically appeared at the opposite corner. I was holding it like this. They were here. And they've gone over one side, one corner, second side, and ended up at the last corner. Now, to complete the magic, we have to move these two square ends down to this corner. So they're just going to pass one side each. This one's going to pass this side. This one's going to pass this side. So let's do that. It's going under the strip. It's going to go over the strip. Over. You need to find the strip. Sometimes it moves in a little bit. And if you notice, look, these two strips are parallel, and if you left it like that, then you're thinking, how come they're not alternating? So this is going to change that. So it was this square end is going under this, over this, under this. Let's go. And it's at the corner already. That's it. That's it. Simples. Same with this. This is going to make the corner, so make sure it's there, and shove this out to the side a little bit and hold it there, okay? Because if you just kind of do it on this side, then you'll find that, hey, it's not alternating. So you have to move this so that you can have it alternate. This is going to split it apart in that alternating pattern. If you put it around this side and you don't notice it's there, you're going to have this weird loose strip over here, and they're next to each other, not alternating. Okay, so get that out of there. This one stays here because that's the frame. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, the third one, third loop. Hold that there. It's going under this square strip. It's going under, over, under, and over. And so now, oopsies, why is this twisting? What? Under, over, yes. So these two strips were the ones that were not alternating, but now they are because the square strip has gone and split them apart. And that's basically your bawang. Bawang. Okay, so typically the square ends are shorter, and that's where you open it up and fill it with rice, like that. But before you fill it with rice, if you are filling with rice, you have to make sure it's tightened, adjusted all around, so the rice doesn't fall out. And as long as the strips don't just unravel, even if they look a little bit wonky, they will stay there as you are adjusting. So not to worry if it looks like, oh no, the loops are coming out. Nope, they won't. They're not that slippery. Which is why if you did this with satin, that plasticky satin ribbon stuff for decorative purposes, that's quite challenging because they just slip right out. So this is a little easier in that they're textured, and so they don't pull out that easily. Yeah. So you see any holes, just pull on the strips. I don't want that long though. Pull on the strips until the holes seal up. So I just learned from my mother yesterday that in the old Malay, the young leaves of the coconut tree, now they're just called daun kelapa, but my mother calls them daun jarun. And I never heard this word before, and I was like, what's jarun? She's like, oh, leaves. And then I said, huh? So jarun is the old word for leaves, like not daun? And then at some stage jarun became daun. She's like, no, specifically for the young shoots of the coconut tree. But apparently they don't use this word daun jarun anymore. And she said there's a joke about it, you're going to use it if you're old. Yes. So I have just tightened that. They're not really that much shorter. I can make it shorter, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just gonna leave it. And these ones should be quite a lot longer so that you have space to tie it. This is very short as well. So if it were longer, you can then knot it. Comme ça. Yeah, just pretend that's knotted. And then you hang it. And then you put it into a pot of boiling water once you filled it with rice. So there's the opening for the rice. My grandmother used to make the little kids do it because our hands are smaller. Because it's a very tiny opener. So you would use a really small teaspoon and shove it in there. Okay? We've cheated. We used the rice from the Nona packets and shoved it in. There's supposed to be some kind of rice. Mom said it's Chinese rice. Or whatever rice you want to use, make sure it's starchy. That's what she said. As long as your rice is starchy. Mom said 3/5. She was very specific, so I'm guessing around here. But when we tried a batch with 3/5, it was quite a soft compressed rice, which some people might prefer. If you want a firmer rice, then you want to bring it up a little bit higher. So as it expands, it really presses against the sides and it tightens, and so you adjust as you need. But Mom said you can start with 3/5 and that'll be quite soft. If it's soft, you really do need to put it into the fridge because it can go bad and we don't want it to ferment in our ridiculously warm and humid climate. And that's it. Eid Mubarak for tomorrow, Selamat Raya, and Selamat Lebaran for people in the region who are already celebrating, including in Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, except for us. But that's okay, we have an extra day of Ramadan. Enjoy, have a great day.